Hi, I'm Joe Elliot, and I'm really pleased to be reading in the Boog Lit Fest. And I want to thank David Kirschenbaum for organizing this event. I know a lot of work goes into it. And I'd like to also thank Barbara Henning for asking me to read. Thank you, Barbara. All right, I'm going to read a poem. It's called Josie, for Josie. I'm going to read 10 parts of it. Josie was my sister. The big bullfrog on the log is sporting a bow tie, and his mouth is parted in speech. The speech is in the process of being received by the smaller frogs sitting in a half circle on the shore. The shore is sandy, and the sand is the period of time you gave into eagerness, obeyed your childhood, if there ever was such a thing, and the log is that authoritarian moment when things intruding on history show up like a sickness you can't beat. The bow tie is how you dress up tyranny. The tall grasses are the walls that make these transactions obscure and therefore secure. The black water of the pond is your bottomless mind, infinitely influenceable. Oh, if only a frog were a frog and you were you. The future is the gift we keep under the tree, never stooping to pick it up and open it. The needles dry and fall and form a neat skirt around the wrapped-up box, lending it a gender. Afraid it might catch fire, we carry out the dry and brittle tree to the curb for a pickup in July, finally, but the box remains. We keep putting off opening it up and instead kick it forward up the street a little further with each step, with each day. There's nothing else we can do. No other action to take. The box waits in the corner for the next tree to arrive in December. The bird can no longer fly. It has been caught in the wallpaper, patterned, it multiplies and evolves incrementally from white to black, bird to fish. Now it swims in the dark and deep school of imagination, and we want to swim there too, to dart to and fro with others. Even for the depressive shut-in, even for the pair of ragged claws scuttling across the floor of silent seas, this is animate. For the ocean is not content, but container. Whatever you are or even think you are surrounds you, inundates you, providing you a body to be in. You fight through the skin surface and take a breath. The bookmark is a pen and ink child, black and white, laminated, exactoed, staring out, and the page is a forest of birches the child would presumably wander in. Is keeping a journal a counter-revolutionary act? Is the personal so revolting? Should we shoot anyone who presumes to cut and paste postcards, who collects Rod McEwen quotes, who is building up an external heart? Sensitivity can take up a lot of space that could be used to house the poor, or compost the dead, or flood the market with nothing at all. Contrivance of air, convenience through use absenting itself with a quiet bow. The chalk outline on the sidewalk is your reward for believing in atoms. The infinite vacuum between each, the price of your having to be righteous. The photograph of the single tree, leafless, standing on a bluff, water and sky behind, meeting on the gray horizon, is beautiful and gives some sense of what it might mean to bravely go missing. The notebook itself was also bereft. She had to glue red end sheets to the inside covers to make this loss her own, and thus to be stuck there in that bleak pose on the bluff for the rest of your life, which, once these parameters were fixed, happened so quickly. Under the yellow with human illumination awning, mostly empty tables, but a couple of couples lean in talking, the white apron waiter standing by those you are watching. Beyond, cobblestones catch the lemony light that spills from the cafe, and beyond that, the shadows in which a family who could be dimly yours hurries home. Here and there, windows of the dark, shoulder-to-shoulder houses that line the street glow orangely above the awning, and above the dark forms of the roofs of Arles are stars flowering, lilies floating in an enormous blue pond, the eyes you think you recognize, lively from behind the mask, an uncertain sparkle of gratitude against a background that cannot be broached. This is everything, or an everything you once saw as everything. A frog and mouse stare at each other from opposite ends of a very horizontal and simple world, encountering in each other that strangeness they do not see in themselves, but need to carry on without desperation their daily rounds. The pattern is always striving to get outside itself and unravel. The hoodied cashier at the grocery store says, "Have a good day," in a way that makes you feel you are old and on the way out. In the dim aisle between the stacks at the library, you encounter a child who, freshly fallen from an old book, freezes in her tracks and strangely calls out, presumably to her mother, long absent, and so, in your loss that recalls every other loss, for loss is cumulative, and with your paw you check your arms for fur and your face for bristly snout and teeth. Looking at the pen and ink drawing called Walking with a Staff, it takes a while to find the man implied by the title. He is so small and disappears into the landscape, of which there are two, one on the top, which is rocky and mountainous, and the one at the bottom, the valley, with its streams and trees. The man is merely walking in the moment as he must, the top of his head just touching the weird horizon line, joining these two disparate worlds that imply the infinite and instantaneous passage of time. From the one he starts out in to the other one he ends up in. This is the reason for the staff. He needs it, of course, to hold himself up. You'd rather wake up in the middle of nowhere, where the wind bends but does not break the trees, and the leaves fly headlong from right to left just outside the helmet-shaped window. If you look even more closely, you realize there are impossible bubbles floating by as well, weightless globes within the globe of the world and that world within other worlds, and so on. All of us weightless, floating, or might as well be, so little can we now carry, our arms splayed out, palms up, ready to receive the unknown into which we are crossing. It is thus we enter any earthen city, where daily rounds seem real and full of things like socks and stoves and bins of paper clips, where everything that is full and real is timed out and planned for and prearranged. But you rather be disarranged and free. Her head is lowered, focused on her task. On the table next to her is a wildflower arrangement in an earthenware vase, and she is needlepointing an image of this arrangement on a cover for a pillow on which a loved one may lay their head. Relax, it has all been arranged. When it is your turn, you can lay your head in the dirt and wildflowers will grow out of you. Thank you.